What's up everybody, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, bringing you guys another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. So for this video, it's going to be a brief one. We're going to be covering Gau's LD Weapon because it is going to be coming out soon to Global Opera Omnia in conjunction with his Lost Chapters. Now again, if you guys are brand new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way you guys are not missing out on future uploads. And if you guys enjoy what you see on this channel, be sure to hit that like button and also share this video as it does help me out. And also don't forget to check out all of the links I leave down below in the video description and the pinned comments, such as the Dissidia DB, Dissidia Info, the Tonberry Troop, all those wonderful fantastic resources by our fellow content creators to help make this community for Dissidia Opera Omnia, you know, a really fun one and a really helpful one. Also guys, I want to apologize for not getting this video out to you guys sooner. I made an announcement that my stream schedule and videos might be iffy this week because I actually really strained my neck on my left side. So yesterday I was wearing a neck brace and I couldn't really do too much moving. I wanted to make a video, but my body did not want to cooperate. Moving was kind of painful. I'm a little bit better today, which is why I at least want to get this video out to you guys, but that's also why you guys are not seeing me using the webcam, because I look really funny right now. And yeah, anyways, that's what's going on with me right now. But we're gonna go ahead and talk about Gau. Now we're just going to go straight into gameplay. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a visual showcase here and explain what he does with his LD. He does not get a rework, so he's only going to be getting an LD. So I'm going to start things off, and I do have Gladio here for a specific purpose because I feel like Gau is going to be a character that's going to be severely underrated, and that's because of the placement of where his banner is at. I mean, we just had Kuja come out, and we know Gladio is coming out, and both of those characters have a lot of hype, but I also don't want you guys to, you know, undervalue Gau, because Gau is actually pretty good. It's just that the placement of his banner just happens to be at that spot where you're like, oh man, he's like, this character is good, but I really want this other character. But we're gonna go ahead and start things off with Gladio's skill 1 here. He gets it for free, and I will have my video for Gladio by next week, since he is coming out next week. Okay, so when you have Gau's LD ability, first of all, his LD ability is called Landslide. He gets 4 uses out of this. He does get LD extensions boards later, but we're not going to be focusing on that. He doesn't get that till later. But what Landslide does is it gives him a brand new buff when he uses this, and it's called Instinct Awakening. And what this does is it increases the party's attack, and it also grants the party Earth Enchant. So now Gau is able to enchant an element to the party, which, so having somebody that can enchant an element and at the same time imperil, we all know the value of that because it allows us to bypass any type of brave damage resistance and get damage out as quickly as possible. And then what this buff also does is it effectively lowers all enemies max brave and attack, and that is applied as an aura, so that's pretty good. And then to top it off, his Landslide ability also allows you to inflict Earth Imperil, so his EX does that, and now we also have another way to do that. And then he also gets a free skill usage on his very first turn from his skill 1, skill 2, and his C65, so you have those options available there. And then what this also does is it permanently increases his max brave and attack, and also the damage that he deals with Landslide. And then just like his Life Shaver and his Cat Scratch, when you use Landslide, it's going to change the properties of his brave and HP attack to coincide with what Landslide does. So the way that you're going to play Gau is, if he's starting off first, you can either go into his Life Shaver stance or his Cat Scratch stance. I prefer Life Shaver, which is skill 1. It's a little bit more defensive, but the counter attack on that allows him to grant you brave and also heal you, so it's a little bit more of the defensive version. And just in case you already know damage is incoming, this could actually give you a little bit of protection here, so we're gonna go ahead and go on and use that. And remember, with Gau, anytime he uses one of his skills, he is going to lock out the other skill and also change the properties of his brave and HP attack, and it's also going to give him a counter. And remember, the Life Shaver counter is very defensive. When anytime a party member or Gau takes damage, he automatically counterattacks, he will brave, and he will heal. So that is going to be like your defensive counter and your defensive stance. Now we're Raijin. I'm going to go ahead and just use his EX. There's a reason why I took this party comp, because I also want Raijin in there for his auras and also for the Thunder Imperil and the Paralysis. Alright, and the reason why I put Gladio in here is that we all know Gladio, you know, has that cover ability with his skill. So he's a tank that covers and counters. Gau works so well with Gladio because the thing is that Gladio will jump in and take the damage. Gau will trigger his counter because he counters every time somebody takes damage. And then afterwards, if you have Gladio's counter available, he's also going to counter. So imagine that an enemy takes an action and you're going to get 2 counter attacks off of that. So these two pair so well, which is the reason why I think Gau is going to be a very strong, you know, pickup if you have the resources to do so. So now that we're back to Gau, we notice that we don't have access to his skill 2, and we have access to his brave and HP attacks coming from his life shaver stance. So now we have access to his life shaver stance, but we want to see the LD in action, right? So we're going to go ahead and do that. So it's a ton of damage. He inflicts the Earth Imperil. He gets that new buff, and now he's going to go ahead and go into his landslide stance, which is pretty cool. Now with Raijin, we're going to go ahead and just apply his skill 2. Gladio jumps in, and Gau is now going to use his landslide counterattack. Now, what I love about the landslide counterattack, and generally this is the stance that you want Gau to be in, is first of all, after you use landslide, you're going to have access again to his skill 1 and skill 2, so it doesn't lock any of his other skills out, and then it's going to change the properties of his brave and HP attack. And if you look at the landslide counter, it's pretty much a combination of his life shaver and his cat scratch. It's both offense and defense. It heals your party, and it also provides brave. So it's a very, very good counterattack, and it works so well in, you know, different party comps because Gau is pretty much able to deal out additional damage and punish enemies that damage you and heal you at the same time. So what I like to do in landslide stance, because I want to keep this stance available as much as possible, so I generally don't go into any of his skills unless I want to refresh the buff that he gets from his skills, but I'm going to go right into his HP attack plus. And as you can see, you know, he does damage, gives a little bit of brave back, so it's a pretty cool HP attack plus. Now with Gladio, we're going to go ahead and use his LD. So this is what you want to use with Gladio, and I'm going to explain this later on when I make the video. This is what gives him the buff that allows him to counterattack. Okay, so we don't have the Earth Imperil. That's perfectly fine. We're just going to keep dishing out damage with Gau here. All right, so Gladio jumps in, takes no damage. Gau counters. Okay, heals and batteries you, and then Gladio counters and also batteries you. So these two work so well together. This is why, you know, for those of you that I know you guys are, probably a lot of you guys are going to be skipping Gau because you're like, oh man, my resources are dry, I don't care for him. That's perfectly fine because honestly, every character is skippable. It really depends on what you value and what you need most. But don't undermine Gau. He does really well, and I'm gonna tell you right now, there's a few really difficult stages that I took him to where I found him really useful. DE20 or FEOD20, which is what we're gonna see later on. He was actually really good for that. I took him to one of the boss rushes. He works really well with Gladio, so he's a very good character to have. And to top it off, he's Earth Enchant, Earth Imperil. So we're gonna go ahead and use this with Gladio. With Raijin, let's go ahead and use a skill 1. And then we get to see the whole magic happen again. All right, Gladio gets hit. Oh, look at that. Gau is going to counter and heal everybody. And then Gladio gets his counter in. Very flexible character. Really cool to see these two in action. Let's just go ahead and take a look at Gau's brave attack. Just for the purpose of the video. He batteries too. I mean, why not, right? Raijin gets the paralysis. Let's go ahead and go into Gladio's EX here. And I am demonstrating this on Gau's Lost Chapter Lufenia. You guys are just wondering, and I will try to have a separate video out on that. And let's go ahead and just go right into his EX. So his EX does a lot of damage. Also does the... there we go. All right. And we get 2 counters. So again, guys, Gau is a really strong unit. So in terms of the banner, I know his banner mates might not be very desirable. I mean, Kuja is on there with his burst. So if you guys missed out on Kuja's burst on its initial release, you can always try to gun for it on this banner. His banner mates are Selphie and Terra. Selphie is, I still think, is pretty useful. She's an underrated support unit that can mitigate damage. She also provides you debuff evasion. She could heal you. As a Brave Shaver, not the greatest. So you definitely want to run her with 2 other aggressive characters. but she's still pretty good, and she can also accelerate your guys' EX abilities to come out faster. Now, Terra, on the other hand, and I'm sorry to one of my Discord members, GR, I know you love Terra. I love Terra too. At this point in the game, she's a little bit on the dated side. I mean, she could still dish out, you know, some debuffs, deal some pretty decent damage, but she needs to be carried at this point if you really want to make her work for like Lufenia and stuff like that. But she is on that banner for those of you that missed out on Terra's weapon. Most of you guys that are gunning for Terra are definitely waiting for her LD and her burst weapon to come out, but Terra is going to be on this banner. So overall, this is how I would approach this banner. If you're dry from Kuja, if you farmed up the Bahamut materials and you went so hard for Kuja that you have no resources left, then you probably are going to be skipping on this banner because you definitely are likely waiting for Gladio. Or for those of you that have, you know, a pretty decent stash of resources and want Gladio more, you're probably going to be pulling for Gladio first. And then if you have some resources to spare after, I actually recommend Gau, because as you could see, he works well with a counter character like Gladio. Now, keep this in mind, he does not work well with a counter character that evades, because for his counter to trigger, that character actually has to take damage. That's why he does so well with Gladio. So, you know, we have a character that has the Elemental Enchant Imperil. He could heal you every time he counterattacks. He could batter you every time he counterattacks. He has good longevity, and overall is a very flexible, very, very good character. So Gau is great. Just think about, it's just the placement of his banners that's kind of hurting, you know, him a little bit in that sense as far as resources wise, but he is a really, really strong, good pickup. Now, if you are looking to get Gau later on, he does come back with Onion Knight's LD and Burst Weapon debut, because his LD weapon will be coming back there, and he's also going to be getting his LD extension board. So for those of you that are like, you know what, I'm still okay, I think I could live without Gau, then you can always try to go for him there. But overall, great character. I like what he does. He syncs well with a character that everybody's super hyped about, which is Gladio, and he's going to be a lot of fun to use if you guys manage to pull his LD weapon. So hopefully this video helps you guys out in preparing for Gau, and also, you know, what he brings to the table with his LD weapon. Again, thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys for your patience, and always, you know, taking the time to watch my videos. This is 40 the Broadway Saiyan signing out. Mahal, everyone.